I'm trying to figure out. There we go. Thank you, Art. Much appreciated.
Art,
We
you're
can't hear you.
muted.
You have to unmute
Glad to be
yourself.
of help here.
I needed the help. Okay. Well, should we wait a couple more minutes or we just continue on from here?
I would say go ahead and with this, if others join us, they can tune in, but I would go ahead, Nianna.
Okay, great. Thank you. Hi, I'm Nianna Gustovich, and I am the alumni chair for Rotary District 5930, which is in South Texas, in case you're not aware of where it falls in zone. We're right here on the Mexico border, in at least in my area. And I have been alumni chair for, I guess, going on 4 years now. I have I'm a past president of McAllen Evening Rotary Club, and I got involved with Rotary because I was taking part in a group study exchange, and that was in 2010. And one of the key factors was that when I came back, I didn't have very much contact, just like a lot of people saying about not having contact with the Rotary clubs that actually sponsored you. And, there was really no definition. Oh, okay, this is what Rotary is. We were just, we were traveling, we were experiencing, and, we were presenting how many clubs and what Rotary, what the district looked like, but nobody basically had told us what Rotary really was, even though we were on this amazing Rotary trip. I'm sorry. And so when I got back, they, the sponsoring club said, "Yeah, come on over and present for us." And I said, "Sure, no problem. I'd be happy to share, the experience that we went through." And sorry, my cat keeps changing the screen. Um, anyway, so I came back and, I went to the sponsoring club. I presented and nothing. And then I ended up sponsoring at an area function. And so that was with Edinburgh Rotary, and Edinburgh Rotary says, "Well, why don't you join us?" And I'm like, "Okay, I'm interested, but I'm not really sure what Rotary was." And so I was invited to different meetings, and then I discovered that, Rotary did service projects, and that's what sold me on Rotary, because I wanted to be a part of something that would benefit someone else. And I truly found that people had the same heart that I did, in helping others. And so I finally found a place where I actually fit in this world. So that's how I got involved with Rotary. And so one of the big things that we want to discuss is, okay, first of all, what is a Rotary alumnus? How do we re-engage these people? How do we learn from these experiences? Because each and every one of them has a story to tell and has an experience with Rotary clubs that maybe if we address these issues and try and figure out how to reconnect them based on this issue, the way that they were received by their sponsoring Rotary clubs and so on and so forth, we might be able to eliminate the gaps. And the ideas are, how do we discover how to strengthen our clubs, how to increase service opportunities and re-engage these alumni, and how we enhance the public awareness through these alumni, because these are the people that go back out into the community and they become the speakers and they become the leaders, because Rotary really impacts them in ways that it takes away their shyness because they're having to present all the time. It teaches them leadership skills because of Ryla, and they learn that, that they actually can take a strong role in whatever it is that they're planning to do in life. And so we really want to take a look at, okay, who are the alumni and how can we bring them back and use their influence to impact Rotary. So my question for you is, are you a Rotary alumnus? Basically, a Rotary alumnus is someone who's participated in one of the many, many programs that Rotary has had over the years. And they may or may not be a Rotarian now. So my question to you is, are you an alumnus? Or are you just supporting them?
Well, it depends on how broad the definition is. So I've participated in Rotary Global and matching grants as a project participant. So by that definition, I'm an alum, but I've always done that in the capacity of a Rotarian. However, as a former district membership chair and now the district governor-elect, I am very much interested in maintaining these connections and converting alumni to Rotarians and Rotaractors.
Okay, you said that you were a part of a global grant or a global scholar situation?
Well, when the broad definition, as far as I understand it, of somebody that is a Rotary alum is if you've benefited or participated in a Rotary Foundation humanitarian project that's funded by the Rotary Foundation. So
what project would that be specifically?
Over an 8-year period in Bangladesh, primarily.
So you were part of
experience.
like a vocational training team, or?
No, we just implemented several humanitarian projects that were funded in part by the Rotary Foundation. So the first one was to provide cataract surgery in a small village in Bangladesh and train local orthopedic surgeons to do the surgery themselves. We left the equipment behind so they could do that.
Yeah, that would be what we call a VTT now.
No, I mean, it was just a grant. I was not the person performing the surgery, so.
Yeah. Well,
but anyway,
it sounds like
mostly my point of reference and interest is as a Rotarian. I want to engage people that have participated in Rotary's youth programs and transition them into Rotary. That's my interest.
What about you, Art or Anna?
I would note that I was a group study exchange leader to India. And so from a Rotarian standpoint, I became an alumnus of the program through that. I'm interested in knowing about whether Anna was. Anna is our RI staff person here from Young Leaders Department.
So no, I am not a Rotary alumni. My grandmother was a guest speaker several times at a Rotary club, so that was kind of my introduction to Rotary. My background is in the public square and social justice, and I wanted to bring those skills to Rotary and serve a larger group of people. And art has been a very good introduction to me to so many things that Rotary does. So I am learning from all of you and hoping to build on what I'm doing with what you all are doing out in the field.
Awesome. Okay, so basically to take a look at what is an alumnus, anyone who's participated in Rotary Youth Exchange, Interact or Rotaract, RILA, if they were a Rotary Student of the Month, if they were a recipient of some scholarship, whether it be on club or district level or even international level, if they were participating in a vocational training team, where basically they send people skilled in one particular area that go and train other people in another country. Then we have the New Generation Service Exchange, there's Group Study Exchange, there's the youth exchange, there's teacher grants, peace fellows. I mean, there are so many programs. I mean, keeping up with all the acronyms and everything is near impossible. But if you have the basic concept of the fact that somebody participated in a program somewhere along the way, if you actually think about it, there are more than 300 kids that pass through RILA every single year through your district, right? And that doesn't count any of these other programs, the scholarship recipients, etc. So if you think about it, 300 new people every single year are passing through Rotary. But what happens to these people? That's the big question, right? I mean, do you even recognize one of the alumni if you actually met them on the street? You know, the thing is there are lots of people out there, and you don't even realize that they really have been a part of Rotary, and they just need to be brought home. You know, like they said, Rotary's family, and sometimes we just need to go find our family members and bring them home. In our district, we have Dr. Elaine Hernandez, who was the Global Service Award winner for Rotary International in 2019-2020, our lovely year of COVID. So nobody got to go to Hawaii, and she still received her award. It was a big deal. Everything was celebrated virtually, but that is one of our pride and joy of, you know, how she went on. She started out as a youth exchange student, and she just kept getting more and more involved, kept doing all different kinds of humanitarian service with, you know, so many different organizations, Juvenile Diabetes Association, the American Red Cross, and now she's currently doing a global grant that's a hunger initiative. And it started down here, but it's expanding by leaps and bounds. Who knows how far this global grant will go? So, now here's my question for you. I want you to think for a minute. What is the role of each segment of Rotary in retaining the alumni? What is the role of the club level, the Interact level, the district level, the Rotaract level, the RILA level, and maybe even our area levels, because we've got assistant governors. How are they helping us to retain these alumni? I just wanted to throw the floor open for discussion right now, because these are some things that we need to consider as we move along, trying to find and keep these people in our family. Let's just start with club level. What do you think the club's responsibility is?
Well, I would say that a club that sponsors any programs that creates alumni, their responsibility would be to maintain a database that would allow frequent contact, and to also assign a committee or a Rotarian to keep in contact with alumni, because they are moving after they go to college and graduate and take jobs, and it can be difficult to keep track of somebody, you know, at that stage in their career, because they are so transient, and they're not established, and they're not, you know, staying in the same place for years. And also at the club level, they need to be responsive to referrals. So we get a lot of Rotary alumni that come through membership leads, and clubs are often very slow to respond to those. And it discourages alumni who have reached out and they want to become engaged in Rotary, and to not have anybody respond to that level of interest is very frustrating and not respectful, I think, of the youth and alumni that are reaching out.
Well, I don't think it's so much the club's fault per se as it is the unfriendliness of club runner.
Well, I can tell you from the perspective of a membership chair who fields about 4 leads a month or more on average, that only about half of the clubs ever respond and extend an invitation to the leads we send them.
Wow.
That's sad.
It is very sad. It's the most frustrating part of being a membership chair.
So maybe we need to start retraining the membership chairs at club level and say, you know, this is what's going on. These leads are coming in for all these alumni, and you're not receptive. You've got to stay on top of it. You know,
It's complacency, and you can ask anyone at RI staff that works in the membership realm. It's an ongoing concern. I can tell you that much. So it has to start at the club level. They have to be welcoming. They have to be responsive, so that they can benefit. We can, you know, take advantage of these opportunities.
well, the question, I mean, you're going into a district governor situation, so the big question is do your clubs have a youth services chair elected or put in position to even monitor the progress in this area?
That I don't want to get too far into the weeds on this, but a youth services chair doesn't have access to membership leads. Only the club's secretary, president, and membership chair do. And so I think it comes down to the culture of the club. You know, are these individuals engaged at those levels, or is it just somebody that, you know, has the title of membership chair or secretary? You know, how responsible are they? And I mean, it's a cultural issue. It's not something that we're going to tackle here, but you know, when I've listed 3 obstacles for converting alumni to Rotarians, and it's lack of contact information for alumni. So that starts at the club level too. Lack of responsiveness from Rotary clubs, and the relevance of Rotary clubs to younger members. I think we have to address those and figure out creative ways to overcome those obstacles for us to be successful.
Well,
Nianna, can I jump in
ahead.
here from a different perspective? As a past district governor and past Rotary Youth Services chair, and now a district Interact chair, one of the things that I think is very, very important for us to consider as an initial aspect of this is the club's relationship with its programs. Are they simply signed on paper as a sponsor, or is there an actual personal relationship involvement thing going on with them? You know, for example, in Interact, we are required to have a Rotarian advisor as well as a faculty advisor if we have a campus-based club. But what happens is with most of our Rotary clubs is they tend to kind of let the faculty advisor run everything with no involvement from the Rotary end of it there, as far as the Rotarian advisor. That's the first thing that needs to change. The second thing that needs to change is that there needs to be more of a participation between the Interact Club and RILA, as well as Youth Exchange, but participation with the Rotary Club, working together on projects. There is nothing like working together in a project where interactors or Rilarians or whatever are actually working with Rotarians and accomplishing something to help them build relationships and to understand more about who Rotarians are and what Rotary is. It's the doing together. And one of the things that you said connected you back to Interact or to Rotary was the fact that you were invited to do something with Rotary. You were involved with a project, and I worked for about 10 years with an Interact club in Bullhead City, Arizona, on the Colorado River over there. It's a relatively small Rotary club that does immense things in the community. They could not do those unless they were actively involved with their Interact club, which is one of the strongest Interact clubs in the state. And so they tackle huge community-based projects with this working partnership between the Rotary Club and the Interact Club. And these interactors really get to know personally these Rotarians, and they get a view of Rotary that most interactors never see. I think that, I am a strong proponent of student leadership. I have a student-led Interact District Council and that runs our Interact District. But at the same time, I want to make certain I've got a strong adult component there with adult advisors for my area groups. I want a strong adult district committee. I want participation by the Rotarians in this process for an ongoing successful program. And so I think this is one of the things we also see this kind of struggle that goes on with our RILA programs. We want to have a lot of student leadership. We want to do that. But at the same time, we need to design these in ways that we are bringing in as many Rotarians as possible to be infected by this program, to be involved in it, to see how it works and how it transforms and changes lives, to become sold on what we're doing for the Rotary Youth Services programs. So I think this is one of the things that I would just point out. We need a way of a lot more direct involvement by the Rotarians in these programs, and we need to design the programs that encourages their involvement.
I'm working right now on a guide for Interact sponsors and advisors, and some of this, what you're sharing, is really incredibly helpful. That this two-way street that you're talking about, Art, in terms of advisors and sponsoring clubs, exchanging information, and interactors having the opportunity to get to know what Rotary clubs are, building relationships and contributing to service projects together. Hugely important. On the Rotary International level, we don't have access to youth data because of youth protection. It is something that continually comes up, that we want to be able to do that in a safe way, but we need to, Rotary is a big ship, as you know, so getting that permission, getting those things in place is a continuing want, but a challenge. And also advisors. We do not retain advisor information from year to year. If they've only signed up for 1 year, we need them to re-register. So that is another issue that I see in terms of continuity and sharing information. Just being able to disseminate and share information is a huge part. And I think also getting advisors, if advisors are not a member of Rotary really welcoming them in and giving them the tools to be able to do this role with youth alongside the sponsoring club.
Can I say that I'm so happy to have Anna on board here for this conference, and she's been a part of a number of other conferences that we've done, because her position particularly is, as I understand it, to do more connecting with those of us that are out here in the trenches working. And I think this is so helpful. It's something that has been a little neglected in the past. But one of the things that I would point out as a veteran out here in the trenches is that I think there has been an over concern at the international level of Rotary about the organization and dotting the I's and the T's of the documents and all of this aspect of organizing and running an Interact club, as opposed to the area of being the people of action. What are we doing? The projects, getting you can have a very well organized club that dots all the I's and T's, and they got wonderful documents, but they aren't doing anything. And it's the doing of things, and particularly doing it together with Rotary, that I think begins to build the pipeline to Rotary. I'll back off here.
No, no, no. I love it, Art. One of the things I have on the top of my page from what you do together. You know, that seems very much a People of Action Rotary
Mhm.
inspired sentiment. So yes, do together.
Exactly. So when we look at the club level, you know, we do need our youth services people involved in the interact areas. And we want the interact to filter into the Rotaract. So, like you said, there is some continuity that is needed to go from level to level. And so I think it would be really advisable that we have the interact sponsors to communicate directly with the Rotaract sponsors in your areas. And so that would at least provide continuity, at least for the kids that are local that are continuing on into university level. Also interact filtering in through RILA, we see that there's going to be some leadership situations where we can also filter those into Rotaract as well. Getting into the district level, you need to make sure that you have an alumni chair in your district that can help work on databases and so on and so forth to try and track the kids that age out of the minority situation. And we need to track them not only, by club, because the clubs are the ones that are going to help us find them again, because they still maintain those contacts. But also, if you get kids to not use their school district emails when they're signing up for the RILA and all these other things, it's much easier to follow up with them than if you just use a school email. Because when they graduate from that high school or that university and they're still attached to that email, they will never ever get another invite to anything. And that's one of the problems, that if you look at the reports that you run from Rotary International, you'll see it's the university emails, the high school emails, et cetera, and there is no way in the world to contact them unless you send out actual mailers. And even then, they might have moved since the last time that they received anything at that particular address. So this is where signing up at myrotary.org and having some kind of a permission, saying that my parent has given me permission to sign up here, would help with the continuity and not have us deal with those minor, what I would call minority issues, with regards to some of the stuff that we are facing in trying to track these individuals.
Nianna,
So
something else that we've found is that when they use the school email address, many times those schools have some
a
filters,
blocker,
and
yeah,
they wind up not getting a lot of the information that we send to them.
they get nothing because the schools do have the blockers on, considering it spam coming from, let's say, Rotary or Rotary International or that kind of thing. So
Yep.
we do face these problems every single time, every single year. And unless you actually have a personal way of getting around those blockers, I'm lucky because my email is recognized by the district, my personal email. And so I can somehow finagle to get in some of those messages, but other people don't have that luxury. So just a really quick, just to look at the data. 84% of our current program participants, whether it be RILA, Student of the Month, GSE, etc., they're interested in becoming Rotarians. 66 of the alumni, once they've gone through the program, they're out. We see that the numbers are starting to diminish. They're interested in becoming Rotarians, but nobody's reaching out to them. 14% of alumni are members of an alumni association. That's a very low number when you consider that there's more than 300 that go through every single year. If you look at Japan, for instance, right now, their alumni association is huge. They do all kinds of projects. They're doing really great. But in the United States, we're at an absolute failure. And when we
Can I-
look at Rotarians,
Nianna, can I ask a question about that?
yes,
The less than 2% of current Rotarians are alumni.
that
Do
is
we
correct.
do we know, because we have not been able to retain information on minors, do we know that that is indeed true?
Yeah. These are the stats from Rotary International.
Okay, because I think some of, yeah, I wonder, I'm curious about that, because if there are people who are not self-reporting, because we did not track that information. So when I go in to look up a Rotarian, I do not have access to their youth participation because we haven't been able to document it.
The documentation, a lot of times, if you look, there are ways to document it on the profiles of the Rotarians. They would just need to add that information in themselves.
But yeah, I'm going to go back to my team and ask them about that, because that's a really interesting statistic. I
I
think
think that's an interesting question, Anna. We may not be asking the question of Rotarians in order to be able to document this.
Yeah, because I am Nianna, I'm sure the statistic is probably low. I'm wondering if it's that low, just because of if people are not self-reporting.
Well, I don't know about other clubs, but on my club's intake form, we ask if they have been a prior participant in any Rotary program,
But
or
I
if
don't.
they have worked with another nonprofit before.
So we use something called Net Forums, which has people's contact information and their current role, and if they've listed their past history, it might show it. But if they have not, I don't know if it's recorded. So I'm going to do some investigating and find that
thought
out.
there was a list of checkoff boxes when you actually, go in to do your information, but I don't recall very well.
And
It's been a long time.
and I'm not sure. So I'll investigate that. But
Awesome.
I think that's admirable that you do that where you are, Anna. I don't know that our clubs do that here in Arizona, and we ought to.
Yeah, that way you know for sure if they are part of the family of Rotary already. Just need to go and update that information and such.
Yeah, good job.
Okay, one of the things that it's important to try and get these alumni to become Rotarians. And the way that we need to do that is by creating real relationships. You got to communicate with these people and tell them what you're doing in your Rotary Club. You've got to invite them to become participants. And maybe if they're young enough, maybe you want to set up a mentorship program so that you can, cultivate their leadership, give them opportunities and fellowship with Rotarians. It's so important that these relationships that we start continue, because if we don't continue the relationship, these people are just going to fall off the map.
So, Nianna, you said something in beginning this that really rang some bells with me. One was the fact that you were attracted back by being asked to do something, a project with Rotarians. And the second thing was you were asked to tell your story. And I think so many times we're out there, we're selling, we tell our story of what we're doing, but it may not connect mentally with these people and their experience. And I think the idea of beginning with the known, their story is their known, what they did in relationship with Rotary, and then helping them to move from the known to the unknown of what we have that may be similar that they could connect with, I think is really a very, very big point you made there.
It was really interesting. I heard a quote yesterday, just by what you're saying, is that there is the known and the unknown, and the doors are what opens between,
Mhm.
And so we as Rotarians need to be those doors. We need to let them share what they know, and then open them up to other possibilities and opportunities. Now, the possibilities of finding these alumni and creating a committee in order to track them. What do we need to do? We need to identify youth services directors. We need to track the alumni in our databases. Club Runner is a great database, but if we don't use it appropriately, if we don't create the contact lists for the alumni in the program itself, we're not going to get anywhere. We need to reintegrate them through a different program. So they got out of one program, let's shove them back into a different program, because that's the way that they keep developing their leadership skills. They keep learning more and more about Rotary. They keep finding out that, you know, having compassion and providing service is a very important way to live. But identify, who do you know that has been through the program before? You've got to know somebody. Just bring up Rotary at some point in a conversation with the people you hang out with. Have they participated in something before and they just got forgotten? Make sure that you share information about the Alumni Association. Our district has a Facebook page, and we also have a private group. And so, you know, have people go like your Facebook page, and that way they can stay informed whenever you post a new event. Ask if they're interested in participating with any project that you have with your Rotary Club, or maybe it's the Rotaract Club or the Interact Club, etc. I mean, there's no reason why an adult can't go back and help out at the high school with the Interact Club, you know? And ask them, above all, to present at one of your meetings. You know, we talk about these qualification talks, etc., about our jobs and so on and so forth. But what if we just started reaching out to all the prior Rotary participants and just have them come and give a little talk about their program? Because then we might find out that we want to revive that program that disappeared out of Rotary in the past, or maybe we've got a really great change that we want to make to one of those programs because we find that it can benefit in a better way because they've got something to contribute to our information. So it's also important that we reconnect with them because there's scholarships and fellowships that are available that they partake in. Like I said, when they get out of one program, shove them into another. Expand their network. That's a very important thing when we've got people that are coming out of college and they're needing to network and so on and so forth. We need to engage them in discussion groups. We need to make sure that they join us on LinkedIn or on Facebook. There's all different kinds of conventions that they can be a part of. Maybe they want to join a Rotary Community Corps or an action group or a fellowship just based on their personal interests. Maybe they want to join a vocational training team and go help someone else learn the skills that they've learned in college. Maybe they want to see what's going on the international level. So we invite them to the convention and they get a special alumni rate, even though they're not Rotarians. And above all, we want to encourage them to give back, because if Rotary poured into them, they need to pour into someone else. So how can we encourage them to give back, whether it be through End Polio Now, or maybe through the Rotary Foundation, or maybe it's through one of the action groups that they can donate something back, you know, because every little bit helps in every aspect, or maybe it's just an act of service that they can provide. So what can we do? First of all, have RI reconnects for our alumni in October and March to match up with the Rotary International events. That's not to say that we can't have more than 2 per year. You know, maybe we want to have 4 per year. Maybe we want to have a picnic or something, right? And then create an alumni reconnect at your district conference, because this is a way for everybody to meet each other and reconnect, even on a local level. Invite them to attend leadership training with RLI, or perhaps you want to invite them to connect with other alumni at the international convention. So they have the best, that is the best of the best. That's one of the things that I always enjoy at the international convention is the alumni sessions, because I get so much out of it and you get to see what they're doing all over the world.